A 6-month orchestrated airport parade, 4 secret phone numbers, a mysterious wife contact, and a man who put his nasty ass fingers in another woman's soup. Welcome to the first episode of my 90-day couple series, where I'm going to be talking about the couples from 90 Day Fiance before 90 days. So, those who watch it know that the tell-all is coming up, and I figure I want to do a deep dive of the couples and what they showed on the show and give my take on it. There definitely been a number of rumors and things that have came out about a lot of individuals on this show. I probably won't be getting too deep into all of that, but I wanted to take a deep dive into it. So, who am I? I'm V. Welcome to Socially Single. On this channel, we're going to look past the reality TV edits and hopefully some of the production shenanigans and deep dive into some actual social commentary, like the red flags and maybe some of those opinions that I can share from my perspective that maybe you're not hearing elsewhere. The first couple we're going to get into is just, I think, is the best case study of foolishness. Like, this is definitely something that Todd set up when he was in Africa with Candy, and to come to us with the bullshit. But that's just all that I can see from this. Who am I talking about? None other than Lisa and Daniel. All right, let's talk about them. First off, I'm not even sure where to even start, because we got Lisa, who's a nurse, supposed to be working 3 jobs, and she's a naturally dramatic person, right? Like, Lisa's just that woman where she exasperates things, she exaggerates, and I think that's just her kooky. Kooky is a really good word for Lisa. Personality, with the way that she just expresses things, especially when she is feeling victimized. And then you have Daniel, who supposes is African laborer within the Igbo tribe. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I believe Daniel was ever really in it to win it from the reality, real love aspect of it. It seems like that he orchestrated all of this. And let's just be honest, anytime that we are headed to African Night Fiance and we have other shows like Catfished and other platforms that are getting into the scamming of Nigerians from so many different levels, and that is not to say that all of Africa or Nigeria, and specifically Igbo tribe people, are scammers. It is to say that when it comes to Daniel in particular, there is just a superficial aspect that I just can't accept as his reality that he's showing on the show. I'm gonna be real about that. So I want to get into the first part of this, where let me introduce who these people are. So, as I said, Lisa's a nurse. She's currently, well, not single, but single, living with her daughter Faith. They have an interesting, relationship. Faith is a bit more involved in Lisa's life than I think is honestly healthy. Like, it comes off like it's as good as she has Faith, and I think Faith is a voice of reason in her life. At the same token, I don't know. I know very little about Faith, so it just seems that some of her opinions are a little bit more involved, and she hasn't learned to draw any boundaries because her mom has never taught her how to draw boundaries in terms of when and when not to speak and say certain things, right? And then we meet one time June, which is Lisa's best friend, and who has apparently been helping out Lisa to the extent of kind of bankrolling or even making sure that Lisa can send money over to Daniel prior to her meeting him. Now, Faith Store didn't know this, and it honestly wasn't her business to know. But apparently, they may have some financial issues where Lisa has made certain decisions that have put them in certain financial hardships. And I think in reference to that, Faith is doing anything. I mean, she's going to call things out because it's also affecting their household and all of that, which I definitely understand. Now, we're gonna get more into Daniel as we get into the story, but that's who Lisa is. I'm sure you've heard by now that Lisa has been married 5 times. She's been through 3 men and two women. And every 90 Day Fiance story always has some big secret or to do that the other person is afraid for the other person to find out, right? And so in this case, Lisa's big secret is that, oh my God, this is a man who claims to have, he comes from a religion and a lifestyle where being homosexual is forbidden, and he doesn't know not only that I've slept with women in the past, but I've been with women for over 21 years. And he'll be the first man that I've ever been with. That's her big secret. And so, and of course, her daughter did tell her some extremely sound advice that before you take your ass over there, or before you, most importantly, get married and engage to this man, he needs to know the truth. It is only fair for him to know your past so that he has opportunity to accept that. I think that was extremely sound advice that we now, this point, Lisa did not ignore. But I do think, I'll be honest, and that's all you're going to get from me is honest and transparency. There is just a point where know your audience is something that some of my friends taught me a good 5-6 years ago. Know who you're dealing with, know who you're, especially know who you're dating, right? I'm not sure I'm somebody who wants to know my significant other's full entire past with all the details and everything else. However, in this situation, when you know you're dealing with someone who cares about certain aspects or things of someone's lifestyle that they just don't agree with, that they find that they do take very seriously, then I do think it's fair for you to share that aspect and give them the chance to do it, right? I mean, give them the chance to accept that part of yourself. I don't know if Lisa is considered herself bisexual at this point, or she's, switching between I was straight, then I went full lesbian, and now I'm straight again. That's her prerogative. In my mind, she's a bisexual woman who likes it both, and she's just really looking for whoever's going to love her and give her the kind of love that she's been looking for throughout these relationships she has not yet satisfied herself. Now, but of course, Lisa, from my experience, from my perspective, is taking this approach of where she likes to do things to get what she wants, and then wants to ask for forgiveness later. And of course, there's a lot of people who are in so many aspects, right? No, let's just do it now versus asking for permission. Let me manipulate things, or let me do things and influence things in a way in which it's already done. And once I've gotten their buy-in, right, then at this point, it's going to be a level of, okay, well, let me tell you about this, and you would not hold so much weight on this controversial aspect of me because you love me for who I am. That's the route that she took, which I do think is deceptive. I do think it's manipulative, and I do think it undervalues or undermines what his, possibly his very firm, strong beliefs are in that. Because if a person loves you for you and who you are and what you represent to the world, they're just going to love you, right? And if that person isn't showing you signs of them wanting to love you for you, maybe, just maybe, I don't know, maybe that just might not be the person for you. And if you are someone who's already financially distressed and you have other complexities going on in your life, maybe this is just one route that you should not pursue to go for it. But we know how this works. She's on the show. She want to get the show, even though they don't really get paid no real money. She want to get on the show, right? So Lisa takes her ass over to Africa. And I gotta be honest, I don't know why I have been watching 90 for a very long time, like since 2016, 2017. But I haven't watched every single episode, especially of all the spinoffs. but I don't remember a time that stands out to me where in Africa, one of them, whether it was Michael or Usman, whoever else has been on there, has really did this big parade at the airport. Now, let's talk about the airport arrival, right? She got a whole parade, and it was dancers. It was in the middle of the street. It was definitely a spectacle. And his Daniel's uncle was also there to greet her. And on top of that, and it was a great performance. And I think that they did their thing over there with the entertainment. And then, of course, Daniel proposes to her at the airport. Now, before I get into this proposal, I want you to understand Lisa doubled down and made a promise to Faith via face request that please don't get engaged, or I'm not going to get engaged to Daniel without talking to you first and sharing those things that he does not know about. Lisa promised that to her daughter. She put her parenthood on the line. And then on top of that, while Faith was hesitant because Faith knows her mom. Like it's clear that based off the number of schools she's gone to, because they moved around a lot. And she has, Lisa's been chasing a significant other of sorts for a long time. Right? And she has been willing to uproot Faith to find that love for her. So I don't think Faith really took her seriously, if I'm being honest. But I do think that she was at least hoping this to be the time at this point in her mother's life, at her big age of 52, 53, however old Lisa is, because Faith is 29, I think, that she has changed enough and has matured enough to keep that promise. Well, she didn't. She did not. And to be fair, Lisa's already easily influenced. I'm not sure I can see a scenario at such a public spectacle where Lisa would have doubled down and said, no, I can't marry you, or I don't accept your engagement, or even use language like, tentatively, yes. I'm telling you yes because I'm so shocked, but before we really do it, let's talk about some things first. Like she's just all in, because let's be honest, I think I got enough about Lisa at this point based off when she said yes at the airport, that while I would get it is hard in that scenario to say no, like this man has done all this for you, you're coming here with extremely high hopes. Like a lot of the times when these Americans are traveling over, it's always this goal of getting married, being proposed to, or proposing to somebody. And so I think that she is just selfish and self-centered, if I'm being honest, in thinking that, okay, I'm gonna just do this because, really he's doing this to me, so who am I to say no? I was a victim here. I didn't propose to him. He did it to me. How could I say no? Look at all this in front of me. And it's like, okay, I would give you a little grace with that. However, we have a lot more to get into. So they have that, they get at the hotel, and immediately I get an idea as to what has been keeping this relationship going. First thing she wants to do is go into what she got him. In my mind, if you've already been sending him money and she has sent him a great deal of money before she got there to kind of support him because he does make a lot in Nigeria, and you want to kind of go into the gifts, you're already starting off saying, you're already trying to give them your value, remind them of your value, and also, show how this is what you have to offer. So when you put that on Front Street and then you're keeping that image up, you can't get mad when the person is staying for what you're showing them. And that's the first thing she did, get in her suitcase. It's just jumping right into gifts. And of course, the obvious innuendos regarding that she wants to be intimate with him on the first night, and she's looking forward to getting this out of the way and really just satisfying or numbing whatever insecurities that she has about herself. And so now in getting into Daniel, as I mentioned what Lisa was doing, Daniel is someone who he's been presented as a laborer, and we are supposed to get this idea that he has been struggling financially in his country, and he's 39. He is 39 years old, not in his 20s now. He's 30 something years old, and he has just been living this extremely poor life. And so, before his mom died, and I really have a problem with this statement. I really do, because this makes me feel like that you're playing in my face. But one of the first things he said in his confessional was his mom told him that she wanted him to meet a white woman and to marry a white woman. And the reason why was because at some point in her life, when there was a really poor situation that was going on, she almost died. And had it not been for a white woman who was there at the time, don't know if it was a white African, don't know if it was a European, don't know, just a white woman, that white woman saved her. Excuse me. So because of that, she wanted him to marry a white woman. It could very well be true. It is just, there's a level of insanity that comes along with saying that out loud and expecting me to believe that. But that was her last final wish. And he wanted to make sure that was true. So he told Lisa that when he reached out to her on Facebook, wherever they met, that one of the things that he knew he needed to do to fulfill his mother's dying wish was to find a white woman and to marry her. And so therefore he's been searching to be with a white woman. That is, I should have known in those first couple of episodes that Todd was involved. Because I wouldn't put, that's, girl. Okay. The absurdity has passed. Y'all have heard it, I'm sure, if you watch the show. If you haven't watched and seen that, the 2 or 3 times it's been mentioned, yes, Daniel actually said that, and he started off with that in their first conversation when Lisa and Daniel were chatting online. And interestingly enough, Lisa said she thought he was a scam, and she had, truly started to take efforts to dismiss him, but she overcame that. He overcame that, and obviously we wouldn't know who they were if he had not been successful. So we get into Daniel a bit. And Daniel presented this as this Igbo man who really respects his tradition, and so there isn't a ton that we really hear about from Daniel's past in terms of his childhood, what he's been through. And everything that we really learn about the Igbo tribe kind of comes from, in my opinion, alleged concoction of events that begin to unfold as Lisa is in Africa, right? So let's go into this. All right, so now, I don't know why, and maybe I'm already a minority of a few different ways, but maybe I'm further in minority in the sense to where, while I get the spiciness and freakiness of, wanting to hear about couples' intimate moments, I don't want to hear about Lisa sharing too much information about that. And that's nothing against, and I'm not trying, Lisa's an older woman, and she's, Lisa's not my cup of tea. I know she's clearly been at least 6 other people's cup of teas, but she's not for me. I just don't want to hear about how like all that is going on down there and the stretching to fit and you know he got a big ego. You know, like I don't want to hear about that per se. And I do think that when you kind of get too deep into it, like another couple I can think about with the guy and the teacher from the Northeast, and you know, and talking so much about Hitcher and Delia. I mean, you're kind of making him more attractive to others, you know. But regardless, I don't drop my damn mic. See there? Let me move on. Let me know. That's all me. All me. So there we go. Put this back on. Booyah! All right, so they do something the first night. It was clear, in my opinion, that he really was into her. I think that he didn't realize how old she was, and we gotta be honest. There's just sometimes this belief that doesn't apply to every individual, where you know, colorless people just seem to age at a quicker rate than those that have some melanin in the skin, you know? And so Lisa, you know, she's in her early 50s. I can see how she might be mistaken for a little bit older. Not saying she's not a pretty woman, not saying she has to take care of herself. That's just my personal opinion that I'm entitled to, that I'm sharing. And it was clear that he really had to work himself up to do something, because at this point now you gotta start earning what she done sent you. Let's just be frank here. This is what it is. If you're gonna be participating in this, and she's taking care of you, if you're in that sort of relationship, if they're taking care of you, typically speaking, they're looking for something in return, and now it's time for you to pay up with your body, plain and simple. But I don't want to hear about all of that. It wasn't cute. It was a little bit too TMI for me, if I'm being honest, and we're going to leave it there. But let's just say that the first night they didn't really fully get to it, and then that morning, I guess, they did get to it, and she got through her barriers with being with the man. There we go. And Daniel was not interested in taking it further and bragging about that body. He was not interested in bragging about those moments, and I don't remember a point where he was even looking to really elaborate in that. At first, I thought that it may have been shyness, because we'll go into it with a different couple, but I don't think he really wants to get into all that. So we're going to move on. So now we get into what needs to happen at this point. She's here now. He's proposed. She accepted. And so now it's going to be a matter of now how do we secure this? Because, of course, we know the next step. Now that she's there, he has to do his African thing. He wants to kind of have that pride and show that he has secured a white woman, since his mom told him he must marry a white woman. So that's the next step. How can we get this going to where we get her approved and secured and take it from there? So now let's go into where at this point we do meet his friends. And we meet his friends and one of his cousins. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is the most overt expression of what's happening to Lisa that I've ever seen, if I'm being honest. When I hear that his friends are like, Lisa, you transformed his life. You need to stay with him and keep doing what you're doing. You know, go to work those 3 jobs, keep sending him money. You know, you don't want him, like he used to walk around with pans with his butt crack showing. He doesn't do that anymore. And he's like, you know, yeah, I have this and I wear this because of this woman. I was glad to see that Lisa ain't as dumb as she likes to think that she wants for us to think that she is. Lisa's a little witty, and she was like, I feel like that they're BSing me. But like at the same time, this is the time where you think you're gonna use his friends to get to know more information about them. But I gotta be honest, they already had a leg up on that. Now I'm not gonna lie, his cousin, I kind of wish his cousin was a little bit like a gossiper, because the looks on his cousin's face throughout this entire meeting, I was like, cousin knows something. Cousin knows something. Cousin know the bullshit. Cousin about doing the same thing, but maybe not. Cousin's like, I ain't gonna say that. And it's like his friends was like, I already said, don't come in here talking all about that. Like we have to make sure you push this. Like we know our role in this. All right. And it's like how the cousin kept looking down, couldn't really fully maintain eye contact, but nonetheless, they gaslight her. They gaslight the fuck out of Lisa. I'm just gonna be frank with you. They really pushed in. She didn't really believe it, of course, but I do think that this was just completely just another stage event. Now, in talking about the stage events, we get a few. We get where he has to take Lisa to his uncle to get the approval. She meets with the uncle, I think, 2 or 3 times this season. Now, Daniel's father apparently is living, but we really, aside from who is supposedly the uncle, allegedly, we don't meet any of Daniel's family, which I thought was unusual, right? Because typically, from what I remember, when we kind of visit Africa, you're meeting, not just the parents, but you're meeting the siblings, the cousins, and, the community is coming together, because the reality is, if one of them makes it to America, there's usually these guidelines of not only do you have to pay a dowry, or you have to submit something to, that community to get the blessing and the opportunity to marry them. It's also a level of when they get to America, there's typical obligations of them having to send those American dollars back to their back to their family to make sure that they're good. I don't hear Daniel talk about any of that. I only hear about this is just an individual man who I'm presuming has no siblings, and it's just poor. And honestly, I don't know exactly what he's striving for or what he wants to be. I don't remember Daniel having this long confessional about how he's, how America's going to change his life or how it's going to help his family. We meet his uncle, we meet his cousin, unsure if the cousin is the uncle's son or the same uncle's son or not. But it was strange to me that we just didn't get deeper into the culture beyond how his culture is relevant to controlling or giving Lisa these boundaries as to what she has done and has not done and what she does and does not do. That's the only time I really hear him getting, quote unquote, passionate about his culture. It's just funny to me how the culture is never a big deal when it comes to being intimate on the first night before you're married. It don't matter then. That's we always somehow tend to put the culture aside, right? For having sex, but when it comes to everything else, quote unquote, the culture matters. And somehow there's never anything about scamming, those that scam these Americans. I just want, is that part what the ancestors said to do? Like did they give you those ideas, or is that just something that y'all came up with? I don't know. I am so getting off topic. My bad. All right. So, let me just look at my notes. Let me go back to Lisa's wigs, the wigs. I'm not a hair person at all. It wasn't until maybe I'm well into my 30s, and it was only maybe a few years ago to where I even understood the difference in terms of like looking at somebody if they may have had a wig or not. Maybe I am so wig blind. It's not my world. It's not what I learned. But I gotta say, and this is gonna probably sound a bit misogynistic, that I would have presumed that someone at Lisa's age would know how to deal with a wig. When she took that wig off in one of her early confessions when we met Lisa and Daniel, and she had all these red irritated areas and so on and so forth. I was like, did at no point you go into a salon or nobody in your family, like Faith, couldn't even, get her little chubby fingers on there and start looking to see, watch some YouTube videos about, hey, here is how you're supposed to wear a wig? Because something tells me that there is a right cap or some sort of tape or barrier or a protective hairstyle. I think I've heard that a lot, that you should be putting your hair in to not have that and it looked bad. Like I was like, she needs to go to the urgent care for a nurse to know. She's a nurse or she works in some part of the nursing field, presumptive of her outfit, her working outfit, and what I believe she has said. I would just think that she would know a little bit better. And why is a wig important for those that don't know? Daniel required her to wear wigs. He didn't want to see her natural hair at all. He said that he likes her with her wigs, with her long hair. He doesn't want to see her look natural. And I gotta be honest, the wigs do help Lisa. Like to be fair, the wigs. There's a freshness to the wigs that we have not seen from her hair that does give for a more vibrant appearance. You know what I mean? And so now, if using a glimpse of the tell-all, we'll talk about that later on. Let me digress what the purpose of this video. So there was a moment where she had been in this wig so bad, so long, to where in Africa she did take off the wig and she wanted to give her hair a break. She washed her hair, wanted to give her a refresh, which I think totally makes sense. And she showed him that when she came downstairs from the hotel room, and he was not supportive. Now, I don't know why she was surprised, because he said what he wanted and what he liked, and you did something different, right? So I'm not surprised of his response and not, and here we go again, not being in love with her and not caring about her feelings enough to say and to even be preemptive in her reactions of, I don't care for this, but you will always be beautiful to me. I love your face. Like, I just love your face. Oh my God, your face, oh my God, most beautiful thing in the world. Your face just brings out the wig. Like, something of like make me feel good. Not that I have to put on something to just only look good, but I'm not a woman. This could be a part of, some women's lives. And I'm just not an individual who was going to introduce myself with a superficial, artificial layer and have you fall in love with that if I cannot keep that up consistently. Now, I just said, I don't know about wigs. I don't wear them. And I haven't learned enough from the women in my life to dig deep into fully understanding them, because I don't wear them. However, that really got to her. And it's clear that Lisa has a lot of insecurities. I can tell it because I have them myself, to be very clear. If y'all only knew how long it took me to even turn a camera on and press record to even think about posting this for y'all to view. Ugh. Okay, so I have all the insecurities. However, he was not willing to protect those insecurities or to even minimize them for her. And it was very much an after effect. And the thing is, Lisa is 50-something years old, so there is a certain level of wisdom and acumen that she does possess that allows her to acknowledge those things. Therefore, I can't label her as someone who's ignorant to this, right? She's stupid. She knows better, but she's choosing to go a different route, hoping for a ideal result. And that's just not always the case or reality, especially when you don't have that going in your favor with the person you're wanting it from. All right. Now, it's no secret that when it comes to Daniel, he's incredibly misogynistic. He, as I said earlier, uses religion when it's convenient for him. And he wants, it's interesting to me that while she's an American and he wants American benefits, there's always this obsession of, well, you're in my country, so you have to conform and you have to be a Nigerian woman. And I can understand it to a certain extent, but I understand to a certain extent why you're also accepting and acknowledging that I'm not from your culture. So there's definitely a certain level of grace and compromise that you have to give to me. And in fact, you're gonna have to be a bit more custom with it. I need to respect your culture. However, I have my own culture, and given that I'm not from here, we need to find a way that respect that where I can act in a way that respects your culture, but also respects who I am as a person and what I'm accustomed to, within reason, obviously. And so there, my favorite scene, and I don't know why, but my favorite scene from Lisa and Daniel was they went to the market. He took us to the market for the first time. And typically there's like, some shopping that we'll do. But he took her to get like her first outfit to go to the uncle for the blessing and all that. And we only got one lady and then one tailor. Just Liz had to be happy with it. Like I said, that's not typical what I've seen in Africa. They usually walk the market and kind of pick and choose. And, there's a different involvement. So I do think that he has some pre-planned stops made to kind of pass off the success, whatever. But we get to where they go out to dinner, and Lisa's like, "Hey, this is the one thing I did do research on. I have definitely done my research when it comes to fufu. I would, and I mean, she didn't know the palm wine." But she's like, fufu or soup, I've been looking at this. I've been looking at how to roll it. Like, she was actually really excited to kind of show that, hey, this is the one thing that I did look about, that I've been excited to try. And she wanted to really impress her husband. Like, hey, look at what I could do. And so I thought that was kind of cute of her. And while they were at the restaurant, keep in mind that even though she was excited about the fufu, she was coming off from that market visit where they went to a certain textile person. And of course, because we know how certain non-Americans in their culture, especially how they consider us, they just would say fat, like, hey, you're fat. And it doesn't always mean the way in which we use it negatively in a certain sense. However, that fucked with her mind. That was a mind fuck for her when the textile lady was like, hey, this won't fit, because you're fat. So I have to get another person to really make it work for you because, you're fat. And Dane did not say anything about it. And then when she did, and privately, he said, no, baby, you're not fat. It's okay. That's the first time it's happened on this show. Lisa took that to heart. I think she took more to heart that not only was I called fat and that reignited her insecurity about herself, it then came into where you're fat and then you're not defending me or even trying to divert or change the vibe to kind of really show that you too don't think I'm fat. And if you think I'm fat, is that also a barrier for us getting together? So I can see where for her, that was a spiraling down moment. So we get to this dinner where she's working to get over, where she's excited about the fufu, and Daniel wants her, to try this palm wine. Now, he said the palm wine is just so strong, and it's just, you have a little sip. It'll just have you woozy. and, I don't know if you can handle the palm wine because, that's the palm, you pound out the palm wine. And I'm, I'm like, this is so strong. As someone who loves me some good alcohol, and has been blessed with a pretty high tolerance at that, pretty high. It's very high. I want to try palm wine. to see how strong this is. I wanna get woozy. And sure enough, Daniel started getting a little kooky. Like he was like, how he smelled. That's how he smelled. It's this Tommy out. And I'm like, oh, Daniel's feeling good. Like Daniel's like feeling good. He's feeling his pecs and his abs. His cheeks are getting soft. Like he was feeling good this prom one. And Lisa was like, I'm half annoyed, but I'm half like, what the fuck's going on? But I'll come and go with because I think this feel. He truly decimated whatever confidence she had with that fufu because she would try to roll it and she wasn't rolling it right. And she thinking that she is. He's very much like, you're not. And he really wanted her to eat the orange soup and the fufu a certain way. And she had to eat it a certain way because that's his culture and she's there. And so Daniel show his ass. Like for real. Like when she, dipped it in there and she was trying it, she said, oh my, this is pretty good. And he was making fun of her as well by how she was doing it. She's like, oh my God, the soup is awesome. I could do this soup by itself. And he was acting like, no, you can't. You have to do it. And so she was trying to dip it. She was not doing it fast enough or not doing it right enough to his satisfaction. He took his fingers and just put his fingers into her bowl of soup. And then, ate it, which, eating with the fingers is not crazy. It's not the wildest thing. But you don't put your nasty ass fingers in my soup. I don't give a damn if you did wash them, which I highly there's something about me not being there and my intuition that they have been in the market and been moving around all day long. And something tells me your hands was not washed. So all that stuff from the air and all that just in my food now. And Lisa had a problem with that. Like that was the first time I saw Lisa like when her confession, that's nasty as hell. I'm a nurse. There's just a certain level when you're used to keeping your stuff a certain way and all that, there's just something that you just don't do and that you don't tolerate. So that really got to her. And then when she was kind of in this shock moment, he's like this to her. Hey. And she's like, why is your hands in my face? And when I tell you that Lisa was like, and he was like, I want to see you walk. And she was like, you want to see me walk? I want to see you walk. So, okay. I was like, Lisa actually got with it. You're going to see me walk. You're going to see me walk away. And she did. And she go get her cigarette. She go get her cigarette, her vape, because her nerves was bad. And when the nerves start getting bad, it's like this. The nerves bad. So I found that to be absolutely hilarious. Daniel showed his ass. Lisa was extremely right to be offended and to call him out on that. I don't care who you are. Don't put your fucking hand in my face. Don't put your fingers in my face. And don't dip your nasty ass fingers into my food. And while I think I do a good job of cleaning my hands and washing my hands and putting the stuff in, I'm not putting my hands in my direct soup. That ain't my goddamn culture. So I'm not going to do, but you do as you see fit. But I'm not going to particularly into my soup. No. The antics add on to where there are scenes of Lisa having to beg and to try to validate herself when she does express a lesbian. And I do think that there are times where, as dramatic as Lisa is, Daniel is also as dramatic. Okay? I get that there's, sometimes other cultures or just certain people, they're just a bit more expressive and all that. I think that he does the most sometimes. Like the way he responds is just, it's a little bit too much, and it's like you're trying to be dramatic, but I can't tell if you're really pissed. And throughout that, I think that's what I saw from them that was missing a lot of like, I'm not really believing some of the authentic actions because either did you already know about her past and this is just y'all storyline to be entertaining and to keep y'all on the show, or is this really so that you find to be flabbergasting. Um, Now, because of her revealing, understand that in Daniel's quote unquote culture, according to him, you have to go to the ancestors for approval. You have to go to the ancestors to get their feedback. You have to go to the ancestors and all that for that guidance because they have the knowledge and wisdom. And I'll be honest, there's yet been a moment with these ancestors to where I've heard them say this shit ain't gonna work out. Okay, it's always gonna work out. Keep moving forward, press through. And you know what? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're thinking if you do the part that you need to do, because God gives guidance. If you believe that, there's you're looking for guidance, but you can make your own decisions. But if you make the right decisions and what God said to you or the ancestors said to you should come true. So maybe it is a situation of like if you just keep scamming um this old white lady, it's gonna work out to your benefit because look at how you've been benefiting when you did hook and sink her, and look at all the clothes you got now. So maybe the ancestors are on the side and they're giving the right answers. Oh, but it only works if you scam right. That and know when to leave when they ain't hitting no more. I just wonder if that is the mindset of this whole. But we had the priest and him with the cups and the beads and all that. Then they go to a king in the middle of the neighborhood with a stage set up. I'm wondering why there are two half naked people in the back. He has his Timu. That is so disrespectful. I'm so sorry. He has his lion that was clearly from the Toys R Us back in the day. With the fake fur and this little outfit, and it is just. And then they have fruit pillows on the couch. Like one part is set up for the king in his court, and the other part is just a regular house with some with tile floors and 30 grout. And I'm just like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? And when I searched that man's name, he is a production person, a producer. He has his own filming company. So I think again, Daniel had this all planned out to like people were going to be getting kickbacks, right, from participating in this. And during that King thing, he told her to shut up and not to talk. And we're supposed to take this seriously. I could not take any of that seriously at all at all. I just couldn't. And I'm like, I've seen a little bit of them ridiculing, Americans in certain ways and to live a certain way, but it is. I'm like, this. You're trying to embarrass her. Like this is truly a level like you're trying to humiliate Lisa, and for whatever reason, and for production value, and that's the where in this story where I'm like, this just all did not make a lot of sense to me in that sense. And so when it came to even with the meeting of the uncle, and having to beg him for forgiveness, all of a sudden now the uncle has to call the father and tell the father about what's going on, and the father will give the thing. And I'm like, well, where is the father at? Like, why don't we even see where Daniel is? Like, if this is as serious as it is, wouldn't this warrant like an in-person visit to rediscuss the situation of how this is going to go? And then how Daniel likes to use, I can't do anything with you until I have to approve the ancestors. So I can't sleep with you. I can't do anything until we have this. Really? Bullshit. And so, and so, when it comes to that, and then we get to this part where she has to pay all this money, because, don't forget, everybody gets their cut now. She's paying all this money by way of Daniel, which means she gave Daniel the money, and then he gets to walk around giving the money to look like a man with something. And we get to where they go back to the same priest, and what is your offering? He gives him something that's not enough, and I'm like, well, either the ancestor says you got it or you don't. Like I just that was a lot. this whole storyline truly was just a lot. And as it relates to things that have came out when she eventually does leave and all of that, it's interesting because apparently Dean was a little bit more responsive and wasn't as attentive. Surprise, surprise, or surprise, surprise. And I'm just like, what were you expecting? Because before she left, just so y'all know, Lisa made it clear that the money at the bank run is going to stop. Like, I don't have it. And if I'm supposed to be, paying for this visa, this K1 visa, something has to give. And what's going to give is my investment that I've been giving to you per month or per week, whatever consistency it was, is going to change so I can pay for the visa. That's all Daniel needed to hear to realize when she leaves, that's gonna be it. You're not supposed to stop. Like, I would rather you not. I would rather not have a visa and have you still paying for shit, over here, so I can live how I want to live and everything else. However, we find out that he did provide her access to apparently his account, his emails, and Lisa gave that to her daughter Faith to look further into it, which I'm like, here we go again, bringing her into this stuff, which I get it. She needs, you want to protect your parent, you want to kind of help. On the same token, there just needs to be a level of critical thinking and critical action from Lisa to take to protect herself and her family a little bit better when you are supposed to the matriarch in a situation. Um, and so I definitely feel like that there was just some production antics in this, if I'm being honest. I think that Lisa was definitely set up in a certain way. I think that she was honest to be humiliated. Daniel has definitely been getting some feedback online regarding his lifestyle. Apparently, he had a contact in one of his people contacts labeled wife. Lisa claims to have reached out to the wife. We saw the screenshots of, I'm sorry, Lisa had Faith reach out to the wife because, why again? And the wife was like, yes, how can I help you? And then I'm like, y'all not good at getting information because the wife was like, don't even contact me again. I'm good. Which, on one hand, says, was there a video wife, and then was she in on it? That wouldn't be unheard of, and it would not be far fetched. On the other hand, it's like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know anything about this. Leave me the hell alone. I don't know you, right? Like, how are you impacting my life? We don't know. At this point, we don't know. Maybe the tell all, if it's a true tell all, which we really have not had in a long time, will tell us everything. But I don't know. Until I have more about that, I don't know. I think that Daniel definitely has a lot of hypocrisy involved with the way he was acting. You're willing to accept money. You can't really work. Even when he called Lisa after she contacted the wife, it was this level of like, hey, I'm calling you. I got back, was just so busy. And I found out I had a lot of debt. Okay, so you were trying to set for the okie doke to kind of get there. Why can't you work? Like, where's your hustle at? Or why is your lifestyle even at this point not adjusted for what you do bring in your own income? Right? As someone who lives beyond my means at times, and again, I can speak it because I've had to make changes. Okay, like what's really going on in that situation? And so, but good job to Faith. Faith for helping her mom figure out certain things. And in terms relates to um, the whole situation, um, I think that there's just a lot of absurdity in this storyline amongst this couple that was just a lot. I'm looking forward to the tell-all. I'm hoping that this breakdown and my perspective that should not have been this long, but is gives y'all a bit of idea as to who Lisa and Daniel is, kind of breaking things down. This is what we have been shown from the umpteenth 18 or 19 episodes of this season from Lisa and Daniel. Of course, they weren't in every episode, but they were definitely one of the most absurd people of this season for sure. So we're gonna see Lisa her blue eyes, unnaturally blue eyes, and her real hair at the tell all. Which kudos to her for saying I ain't need no more damn wigs if I do my regular hair. Kudos to her. And as far as like what I think about it, I think it was just a disaster from the jump. Like between the clashes between their cultures and like the disagreements that they were having about her past and who she is, not who she was, because I don't believe in that whole I was, let me not even go there. Let me not even go there. Despite what she is, I think that she has a lot of insecurities that she's been running from for a very long time, and she has yet to fully deal with and resolve. And and we're seeing it firsthand, is where I'm at. So, hey, again, this is Socially Single. It was great talking with y'all about Lisa and Daniel. I'm looking forward to tell all, so I'll be back out discussing that next week. I would love if you would like, subscribe. I definitely have more videos coming. I'm going over all the couples. And stay socially single. See you in the next one.